If anyone is listening to this recording, it means that I have failed, and this will be the tale of my death. If you are a fugitive worker, know that I am not doing this to discourage you. I am trying to help you. I am one of you. I worked the labor camps for 5 years, and then I stole this crawler when I got the chance. It turned out to be a vain attempt to escape this hellhole of a planet. Learn from my mistakes, stranger, and maybe you will get a few steps closer to freedom than I did. Maybe you'll even make it. There are a few things I can tell you that might help. As far as I can tell from the crawler's readings, we are not on the water like many of us assumed. It's worse than that. We are on the surface of a planet with an atmospheric pressure equal to about 20,000 times that of Earth. The Nauticrawl is one of very few vehicles that can withstand that pressure and move about outside of the domes. It crawls, hence the name, I suppose, through the thick atmosphere and, well, if there's anything out there, any way out or up, a crawler is the only hope we have of reaching it. But in my, albeit limited experience, piloting a crawler can be quite the balancing act, and it does not give you a lot of time to stop and think. I will tell you what I've managed to learn, and I'm going to assume that you, like me, know nothing coming in. The first thing you need to do is turn on the engine, which is a 3-step process. There is a lever on your left, close to the ceiling. Pull it from the upward position and down. This will activate the battery power, signified by a series of blue segments underneath it. They will gradually deplete unless sustained by the engine. To keep the battery charged, you need to turn on the engine itself. Flick the switch beneath the central square monitor to activate the mainframe. At this point, it will say battery not charging. There is a green button on the left of the central console, the only button of its color in the entire vessel. It will light up and blink slowly after the previous 2 steps are completed. Press it. Your mainframe screen will print additional text if you do this right, the final line of which will read "Battery connected to engine." Without the engine up and running, the crawler cannot move. But you need the battery to power everything else, including navigation, the radio, the cloaking device, and life support. And the battery drains the engine. Their independence is finicky and difficult to balance. Depending on how much fuel is stored in the crawler when you come across it, you will sooner or later have to refuel. You will have to steal from depositories along the way and pray that you are not discovered. You might also be lucky enough to come across abandoned crawlers that might still have some fuel in them. There are 2 geishas to your lower left. The topmost one is the engine power. The one below it is the fuel injector. The big lever to the right of the geishas is the forward thrust. You need to pull it to propel your crawler forward. The engine power determines how far you are going to move with each pull of the lever. The fuel injector determines how fast the crawler charges up again. This is indicated by the little light to the top left of the forward thrust. When it lights up, the lever can be pulled again. The crawler tends to overheat quickly whenever it is moving. This is indicated by the red bar to the left of the status panel. Pull the release to its immediate right to release pressure. Too much heat seems to make the cloaking device less efficient. Below the mainframe is the net hook. It can be slung out to hook something on the outside and bring it in. Whatever it catches will be deposited into the cargo compartment. This is how I was able to refuel. The net hook can also interact with mechanisms like gate controls. Remember that it needs time to charge up before use. Okay, on to navigation. The only circular screen in your vehicle is the sonar. It's the closest you'll get to a map. It shows obstacles around you, like rock walls and closed gates. It also shows points of interest where you might be able to pick up something useful. Then there is the finder. The finder is the small yellow screen to the lower left of your sonar. It shows the direction of places of interest that are outside the scope of the sonar. In my experience, the finder always leads to something worthwhile. It is easy to use. The wigglier the line, the better you're heading. The monitors, the finder, the sonar, the net hook, and everything else drains the battery. You should turn off as many of them as you can when you're running low. It might be smart to turn on the sonar just to check your heading, then turn it off while you're actually moving. It's easier to charge the battery that way. The feeling of being completely blind while moving about is rather uncomfortable, though, so I didn't always stick to this myself. Let's see, what else? Oh yes, radiation storms might force you to stand still for a bit, but don't idle without the engine on. The battery drains quickly without the engine, and you cannot restart the crawler if it runs out, so the need for fuel is ever present, and you have to keep moving. As I'm sure you've noticed by now, there are no windows. You cannot see anything on the outside. The sonar and the finder are your eyes. But there are plenty of sounds, though. Immense pressure or not, there are creatures living out there. I have heard them through the hull. I cannot even imagine what they look like. To me they are icons on the sonar or thuds in the distance. But we have to assume that they are strong enough to represent a real threat. I'm afraid I have no idea how you might defend yourself against one, should it take an interest in you. A threat you will definitely encounter, though, are defensive towers. They protect key locations, and once your escape has been announced on the radio, they will be looking for you. They should show up on your sonar, and to get past them, you need to activate yet another device, the cloak. The cloak is indicated by the colored display to the top right of the sonar. It has a high energy demand, to the point where moving while using the cloak drains the battery instead of charging it. Adjust the strength of the cloak with the switch to the right of the cloaking display, and make sure it stays in the yellow. This will ensure that the cloak works well enough, but does not use more energy than necessary to function. And that's all the information I can give you, I'm afraid. There are several other systems in the crawler that I never found any use for. Some of them I were not even able to activate. I do not know if they were broken, or if they would have been activated under some unknown circumstance that I never encountered. What little I do know, I had to learn through trial and error, and the process was just too slow. I ran out of fuel a little while ago. My battery is drained as well. There is a red button. I was never able to press it before, but its casing was unlocked when the battery died. I think it will eject me from the vehicle. It would mean instant death, of course. It is getting harder and harder to breathe. I am tempted to press it. Use what I have learned, fellow fugitive, and you will get a head start. If the information I have been able to provide has been of any use to you, then my death will not be in vain. And if you find yourself in the same situation I'm in, please add whatever further information you have uncovered to this recording. If another worker does what we did, they will have an even better chance than you and me, and so on, until somebody makes it. I hope the possibility of helping someone else might be a comfort to you, as it has been to me. And good luck.